Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our review of the Roborock Q7 M5, Roborock's latest budget robot vacuum and mop combo. The L5 is a follow-up to the extremely popular Q7 M5, which has been topping bestseller lists since its release last year. On paper, the L5 looks a lot like the M5, and after buying both of these robots and putting them through several weeks of testing, we were curious to see whether there are any real differences between them. When we compared the results, we were able to identify a clear winner between these two very similar budget robots. So, links are in the description, and let's get started. Starting with the basics, both the L5 and the M5 sit at the low budget end of the robot vacuum market, selling for very close to the same list price of around $250, and sometimes much lower than that when they go on sale. The M5 has an optional Plus version, which includes an auto-empty dock for about $100 more, but the L5 doesn't offer that option at the time of this recording. Both models are available in either black or white. Moving on to the pros. Both of these robots have a lot to offer, even at their extremely low price point. They both have a fixed side brush to sweep debris into the path of the suction port, and they use the same bristled main brush in a floating housing. The housing features an active hair removal system, and the onboard dustbin on both robots is a nice-sized 400 milliliters. Both robots stand at about 3.9 inches tall, or 99 millimeters. And they both include carpet boost, meaning they automatically increase suction when they detect carpet. They both did well at their main job of sweeping up debris of different sizes from hard floors without too much scattering, but the M5 did seem to do better at removing fine debris from the surface of carpets. However, in our carpet deep clean test, where we embed sand into medium pile carpet and measure how much the robot can remove, the L5 actually did better. The M5 was just below average in this test, while the L5 performed above average, removing 80% of the sand. Suction was a big pro for both robots. Roborock advertises the L5 has 8,000 pascals in its highest setting, while the M5 is rated at 10,000 pascals. Both robots performed extremely well in our suction testing, with scores we would consider great at any price. The L5 clocked in at over twice the average suction rating. The M5 was even more impressive and ranks as our 14th highest suction score of all time. Airflow was a little below average for both robots, but the L5 had a slightly higher CFM than the M5, so that's one area so far where the L5 pulled ahead. As far as mopping goes, both the L5 and the M5 use similar mopping hardware of a basic flat mop pad. They each have an electronic water tank with 3 water flow settings, but the pad does not lift over carpet, so it will need to be removed before vacuuming rugs or carpeted areas. This means both robots will need to do vacuum-only passes for rugs and a separate run for mopping hard floors. While neither robot has a dedicated obstacle avoidance system, they're both equipped with top-mounted LiDAR navigation, which is a pro in our opinion. We tend to prefer top-mounted LiDAR because it performs a little better in our tests than embedded LiDAR, and both Q7 models scored well above average in our navigation efficiency tests. The M5 had slightly higher efficiency than the L5, but both crushed the average score, meaning they're better than average at mapping and following logical, time-saving cleaning paths. Battery life was another huge pro. Based on its battery and navigation efficiency scores, we estimate the L5 could clean about 1,465 square feet per charge. That's roughly 100 square feet more than the M5 and about 300 square feet more than average. Both the L5 and M5 support recharge and resume, which allows them to pause and recharge themselves before returning to finish the job if they start to run out of battery. Roborock's app is another big pro, and both robots offer the same features. The app includes multi-level mapping, individual room settings, cleaning sequence controls, no-go and no-mop zones, zone and room cleaning, and integration with third-party voice assistants. Moving on to the cons. Our biggest concern with the L5 showed up in our flattened pet hair test, where we pressed 2.5-inch hair onto carpet. The M5 scored slightly below average on this test, which wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. But the L5 received a shockingly low score, removing only 12% of the hair. That's well below the previous worst score on record, which was 29%. It's possible there was some kind of fluke in this extreme result, but since we saw the same outcome across multiple runs, we have to go with the data. As I mentioned earlier, the L5 also seemed to struggle with finer surface debris on carpet in our basic sweeping tests, leaving some visible debris behind. Whether this was an issue with our unit or something inherent to the robot, we can't say for sure. Another con was our 7-inch hair tangle test, which was one area where both robots did poorly. These models use the same main brush design, which includes what Roborock calls a jaw scraper's comb in the housing. It's designed to pull hair off the brush to keep it from wrapping. Hair wrapping around the main brush can decrease performance by burdening the motor and preventing proper floor agitation. In our earlier test, the M5 didn't do very well, with 43% of the hair tangling around the brush, much worse than the 21% average. But the L5 did even worse, with 56% of the hair getting tangled. So if you have a lot of long hair in your home, both of these models will likely struggle to manage tangles on their own. The next con to mention is the L5's mopping performance. In our mopping tests, we measure two things: how well the robot removes dried-on stains and how much water it uses to do it. Some robots score well on stain removal but use too much water, which can lead to streaked floors. The L5 did fairly well in dried-on stain removal, earning an above-average score of about 128 points. However, it used an excessive amount of water, more than 3 times the average. By contrast, the M5 earned an excellent dried stain score of 158 points, while using only about twice the average amount of water, which is still more than we would like, but it was not nearly so problematic. The L5's heavy water usage significantly lowered its mop's overall rating, and it ended up with the second lowest combined mopping score we've ever recorded. The M5, with its excellent stain removal and more moderate water usage, landed much closer to average. When we looked at all the results together, the Q7 M5 was the clear winner, with better mopping performance and stronger overall vacuuming results, especially with regards to carpet surfaces. We consider it the better choice, especially since they're priced so similarly. And when you factor in the option to upgrade to an auto-empty dock, the Q7 M5 becomes the more versatile and better performing option overall. To see our favorite robots at any price point, check out our top robot vacuum recommendations on our website. We purchase all the products we test ourselves, and our reviews are never sponsored, so you can be confident you're getting our real opinions based on our real experiences. Don't forget to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you go. Thanks for watching.
All of the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. You'll also find links to the Vacuum Wars website in the description, where we have more detailed lists of our favorite products, like our new top 20 robot vacuums list, which is updated weekly.